In the last video, we discussed how to connect your system. Let's continue by setting Ableton to recognize the audio input and output devices that you intend to use. So if you're following along on your own computer, I've got a default set open here. And the audio settings are in Ableton's preferences. Now that can be found under the options menu on a PC and under the live menu on a Mac. So let's click there. And let's open up preferences, and I'll point out on the way that there's a key command, which is Control, comma on a PC and Command, comma on a Mac. Okay, once we've got preferences open, you're going to want to click the Audio category or Audio tab here on the left-hand side. And at the top, we have the Audio Devices area, and the first option we have here is for the driver type. So the options that you're going to have here depend upon the operating system that you're on and the interface that you're using. So if you're on a Mac, the basic driver type is the core audio driver. And similarly, if you're on a PC, that would be the ASIO or ASIO driver. Now, in some cases, the manufacturers of interfaces will create or write a custom driver. And that's to take advantage of special features on their particular interfaces. So what you would need to do would be to get that driver, download it, and then install it on your computer, and then reopen up Ableton Live, open up Preferences, and then click the pop-up here, and you'll see it listed in the options that are here. So I'm going to leave this on Core Audio, and then I'm going to come down and choose the input device. So my interface is a Prism Lyra, and if I click that, amongst all the other things, we'll see the Lyra listed here, as well as a bunch of things that are related to my computer. So the built-in line input or the built-in digital input. There's a microphone in my monitor, as well as a second camera that I have here. And there's a bunch of other stuff. So for this demonstration, I'll leave it on the Lyra. And then I can make a second choice for the audio output device. Now, these could be different, but in most cases, they should be the same thing. So I'll click that, and I see Lyra listed here too, as well as these computer options. And then there's actually some software options, and I'm going to choose one of those because I need to capture the system audio from Ableton into the video that I'm creating here. So that's this ScreenFlick loopback. I'm using ScreenFlick to do this. So I'll choose that because of what I'm doing right now. But as I mentioned, you should leave this on the same interface option that you used for your input device. Now, below those two selectors, we have these channel configuration options for both input and output. And this allows us to enable or disable the physical connections or inputs and outputs on our interface. And if there is something that you're not using, you should disable it because that will actually free up a little bit of CPU usage. So in my case, I know that 3 and 4 here are actually digital inputs, and I'm not using those. So I'm going to disable that both on the mono side and on for the stereo inputs as well. And I'll point out while I'm here that you can actually give a custom name that will show up in the input selectors for your inputs and outputs. So I've named input 1 mic 1 and input 2 mic 2. Or you can just leave them empty, whatever you like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And while we're in this dialog, I'm going to point out that you can actually test to see if Ableton is passing audio to the device that you want it to go to. And you can do that by just enabling this test tone option right here. I'll also point out that you can set a level and a frequency if you want. And then if you want to simulate CPU usage, so that it lights up the CPU usage readout up here in the control bar, you can do that as well. So let me click that and let's see if we hear any sound. Okay, we do hear that, so we should be good to go. Now, I want to check one other thing while we're at it, and that is I want to make sure that we're actually seeing audio from my microphone coming into Ableton. So I'm going to go to one of the audio tracks here, and down here in the selectors, the device is going to be external input, and then the actual channel, I'll click here. You'll notice that the 3 is grayed out because that's actually not available because of what I just did in preferences. But let me select that, and then I'm going to select mic 2. You can actually see here in this little animator over on the left-hand side that it looks like there's audio coming in. So let me click select that, and then I'm going to just record arm the track and test if we see any audio. Test, test. Okay, so we do see audio input, so we know that we're ready to go. So now that we've selected, configured, and tested our audio input and output device, we're ready to start working with audio. Check out the next video where we'll take a look at how to set up your MIDI controllers.